All right, so you want to talk about rivalries, right? We're diving into one that practically defines the word. The Red River Showdown. Oklahoma, Texas.
It's more than just a game this year, though.
Oh, absolutely.
This time, it's personal, right? Both teams now slugging it out under that SEC banner. Huge implications.
Huge is an understatement. But for those who might be new to this whole thing, can you give us a quick history lesson?
Well, we're talking about a rivalry that goes way back, like way before the modern conferences even existed. 1900. That's when this face-off started.
Wow, 1900. Talk about history. So this move to the SEC, that's not just some headline-grabbing move, is it?
Not at all. This is seismic. Power shift impacts everything: recruiting, media deals, even challenges that old guard of college football. Everything's up for grabs.
It's like someone hit the reset button on, what, decades of tradition.
Yeah.
Wild. So where do our teams stand going into this showdown? No better word for it.
Texas is coming in hot. Top dog, #1 in the nation. And they got something to prove after last year.
Oh, yeah, last year, Oklahoma handed them a pretty bitter pill to swallow.
You could say that again. Undefeated season, right up in smoke, thanks to the Sooners.
I bet that still stings. Okay, so Texas is out for blood. But what about Oklahoma? How are they looking this year?
Respectable, sure. Sitting at number 16.
16. Okay, not bad.
Not bad, but a far cry from that #1 spot.
That's true. You know me, I love to hear what the so-called experts are saying. What are the sports writers predicting for this matchup?
They're not holding back. Justin Martinez over at the Oklahoman.
Okay, yeah, I know him.
He basically said Texas is far more reliable on offense. Straight up. Predicted a 31-17 Longhorn victory.
Ouch. Anyone else echoing that sentiment?
Pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
Cedric Golden from the Austin American-Statesman, same story. Sees Texas winning 35-17. Thinks Oklahoma's defense is just outmatched.
So it's looking like a Texas victory, at least according to the experts. But even for those of us who aren't, glued to the SEC standings every week, why does this game matter?
Because it's a glimpse into the future of college football. The SEC, it's always been a powerhouse. But adding Oklahoma and Texas into the mix, that just changes the whole game.
Changes the game. I like that. It's like the butterfly effect, but
Yeah.
for college football. So for anyone listening who wants to tune in to this epic showdown, when's kickoff?
2:30 p.m. Central Time. Little later than we're used to for this rivalry, but hey, got to mix things up. You can catch it on ABC.
Standard. What about us cord cutters? Got a rep for the streaming crowd.
Don't worry, we got you covered. ESPN app, ESPN Plus, even Fubo's got it. Free trial if you're feeling adventurous.
Solid options. All right, before we really get into the nitty-gritty of this rivalry, and believe me, there's a lot to unpack, let's talk about some of the past games that have really defined this showdown. Because this is a rivalry that's full of surprises. And we're back, still diving deep into the Red River Showdown. Man, talking about rivalries that deliver on the hype, this one takes the cake.
No doubt about it. I mean, think about this. 9 out of the last 11 games have been decided by a single score.
That's insane. Talk about keeping you on the edge of your seat.
Exactly. And when you look back at the history of this matchup, there are some truly unforgettable moments. Games that still have people talking.
Oh, I love a good story. Lay it on me. What are some of those Red River Showdown classics that really define this rivalry?
Well, you got to start with the 2008 shootout, right? Sam Bradford leading the Sooners, Colt McCoy quarterbacking the Longhorns. It was a back-and-forth battle for the ages. Final score, 65-63, Oklahoma.
65-63. I mean, that's more points than some teams score in a month.
Tells you everything you need to know about the offensive firepower these teams can bring. But it's not always about outscoring your opponent.
Oh, right, because there's that one game, I think it was back in the 70s, where it wasn't exactly a high-scoring affair.
You're thinking of the 76 game? Texas eked out a 6-6 tie against an Oklahoma team that was riding a 28-game winning streak. Talk about an upset.
A tie, and the Red River Showdown, that's almost unheard of.
Almost. But that's the thing about this rivalry, right? Always full of surprises, always a battle.
And speaking of battles, this move to the SEC, that's a whole other ballgame, isn't it? I mean, both teams are now facing some seriously tough competition week in and week out.
No doubt about it. Oklahoma, they've got their work cut out for them.
Yeah.
South Carolina, Ole Miss, Missouri.
That's a gauntlet right there.
And then they have to face the big one, Alabama.
Yikes. Yeah, good luck with that. So the Sooners are in for a rough ride. What about Texas? Who are they up against this year?
Well, besides the Red River Showdown itself, they've got a date with Destiny against Georgia.
Yeah.
Number 4 in the nation.
Okay, that's a big one. Anyone else giving them trouble?
Florida and Arkansas would be tough outs for sure. And then they wrap up the season with another classic rivalry game, the Lone Star Showdown against Texas A&M.
Wow. So even though Texas is coming into this weekend as the favorite, it's clear that neither team can afford to take their foot off the gas for a second. The SEC is a whole different beast.
Absolutely. New conference, new rivals, new pressures. Everything we thought we knew about this rivalry might be about to change.
It's wild, isn't it? All this history, all this tradition, and now with this move to the SEC, it feels like we're seeing the Red River rivalry being reborn in a way.
Yeah, it's like hitting the refresh button on a classic.
Exactly. But will it be the same? I mean, we've talked about the intensity, the history.
Yeah.
But now they're in the same conference, playing each other every year. Does that change things?
It's the big question, right? Does it dilute the rivalry or make it even more intense? Hard to say.
On the one hand, you could argue that playing each other annually takes away some of that, once in a blue moon feeling. But then again,
they're fighting for the same championship now.
Yeah.
Same division. Bragging rights are one thing, but this is about SEC dominance.
So it could actually amplify the rivalry. Wow. This is huge. Okay, before we get too caught up in the what-ifs, I got to ask. Any predictions for this Saturday? Another nail-biter? Or is Texas going to run away with it like the experts seem to think?
Oh, man. You're asking me to predict a rivalry game? Especially this rivalry. It's like trying to predict the lottery numbers.
Fair point. Fair point. But hey, a little speculation never hurt anyone, right?
True enough.
Oh.
I'll say this. The Cotton Bowl is going to be electric. That atmosphere. You can't bottle that. That's what this rivalry is all about.
It's more than just a game, that's for sure. It's an experience.
Absolutely. A celebration of college football at its finest.
Well said. Well, folks, there you have it. The Red River rivalry. A clash of titans now making waves in the SEC. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the history, the passion, and the future of this epic showdown. We'll catch you next time for another deep dive into a topic that's sure to pique your curiosity.